Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Gran Turismo 7 to take a look at a first of the 5, or actually 4, new cars added as part of update 1.29, which is this Porsche 911 Carrera 2.7 litre RS. So, as Grand Valley's just been added, it is of course where we had to drive the new 911 Carrera RS. This is actually the first ever Porsche to use the RS designation, developed as a homologation car for the Group 4 category at the time. The standard 2.4 litre Porsche engine was increased to 2.7 litres, giving this car a total power output of 206 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot by today's standards, but remember older cars are a lot lighter, and this one particularly was a very light car even then, weighing only 1,075 kilos. That means here in GT7 it's rated at 487.09 performance points. As though this is the first video taking a look at this update, let's talk about the track briefly. I'll be honest, I don't actually recognise it. I think it may be that it's from an older Gran Turismo than I remember. I mean, it has been changed quite a bit, as all of the original tracks have been, but it had a really nice flow to it, and it looks stunning, and very much gives that impression of it being, well, an American road circuit, basically. And this car was a lot of fun to throw around here. Took me a couple of laps to get used to how to kind of balance it. It was quite slidey in the corners. I mean, there's a lot of weight over the back wheels with the engine, and it's a light car apart from that, so that is kind of what you'd expect, but it was a lot of fun, this car, and it was actually really nicely balanced once you got used to how to kind of balance the throttle and steering and being slightly careful on it. It was a really, really fun car to drive, particularly with the way this track flowed. That huge bridge is pretty stunning. But anyway, despite that, I think we should go and see if there are any upgrades for this car. So before we go to the actual upgrades, let's take a look at some of the visual stuff. There is, as there often is in Gran Turismo, a wide body option, which, as usual, is quite subtle, so I probably will go for it. We could, in theory, keep the standard wheels and bring them out to wide width, but they still kind of look too far in. So I'm going to try... These are the only ones that look vaguely in any way similar. Do we want a bigger size as well? I suppose we might as well have 1 inch bigger if we're going to be doing that. You can then also make the wheels themselves slightly wider before you do the offset, and then it really does fill the arches. So I think unfortunately we're going to have to do that, which does kind of lose the classic Porsche style wheels, but these aren't too far from that. I know they're American racing wheels, which isn't quite right, but anyway, we might be able to paint them to match the Carrera stripe in a minute. Before that though, let's take a look at some of the custom parts. Front splitter we have... Okay, interesting, because I suspect that black plastic is the American spec. That's probably how it looks on European ones with the blue stripe. Oh, and then we've got the full-on race car one, which actually probably is period correct for this car, actually, for how it would have competed in racing. So I think we can go with that without ruining it, basically. As for the side, again, you can take off the... Is it sort of plastic and chrome strip? You can take that off, or you can put on the slightly extended edge. I don't know how I feel about that. I'll see what it looks like with a full kit on, and then I might take it off. And rear, you've then got the same. Yeah, you can essentially convert it back to its standard European bumpers, I think, is what those would be. Oh, and you can... I was just thinking, it's a shame those red things are still there. You can remove those as well. That looks a lot better. But that doesn't have the lower lip. And thank you very much, Gran Turismo, for not letting people change that little ducktail. That would be horrendous if you're allowed to do that. I might, though, take these back to Type A. Yeah, that looks a bit better. As there wasn't a proper rear one, I mean, there was removal of those, but it wasn't like an extended bit. I think that does look better, because I quite like on the side, it sort of half covers over that circle at the back, which I'm still not quite sure what that is. So, onto racing items. We have bonnet pins. Oh wow, those are actually really cool. Yes. We have tow hooks, which I'm not going to do. It looks ridiculous. Roll cage. Does it not sort of have one? No. So we've got type A, type B. What's type C? Does type C have the front as well? Alright, so A is just that. B is that. Oh, it just has the double, the cross rather than the single brace. I think I'm just going to leave it. We want to be able to use the back seats, right? Okay, other. We have light bulbs, so we can make them a nice, cool colour, but it's kind of a... I'm going to leave it, because it's an old car, you don't necessarily want bright lights. And number plates. Wait, if you take off the Carrera number plate, is that then just a gap? It's weird, because Type A puts something over that plate. But then that, I think, is open. What's it like on the... Okay, it's a long, thin one on the back. So if we go Type B, rear only, then the front is open. I like that. Let's do that. So the only thing left now is to change the paint colour, but I'm slightly concerned we're going to lose the nice stripe and Carrera writing if we do that. But anyway, I'm going to go and grab myself some Porsche colours quickly and see what they look like on the RS. You then, unfortunately, lose the stripe, but, I mean, it's still, and the badging, because it's kind of painted on. Anyway, that is slightly unfortunate, so we might not end up doing anything. That's kind of intriguing. It's like a Gunther Works. Except on a proper... Anyway. Ooh, actually. You could put on a roof colour. Don't worry, I'm not actually going to paint my RS bright pink. Porsche fans. Okay, let's look at Porsche colours then. I mean, there's Ruby Stone, which... Although it's a retro colour, I feel like that actually works better on modern Porsches. Ooh, what are the mirrors standard? Are they chrome? Yeah. No, they're sort of... Just so that I remember to paint them again afterwards. Okay. Right, Ruby Stone. Metallic red, but I use that on... I feel like a flat colour works better on an older car, although... Anyway, Mamba Green. Racing Yellow, I think, looks incredible. Zanzibar Red... Again, I think might be too metallic. Signal Green is a classic colour that I think they did actually use on these. So you could get away with that. Again, it's a shame that the branding and stuff's gone. Metallic Green, Blue Gloss, Amethyst Red I found, which I actually really like. Ultraviolet is probably a bit modern for this car. But again, it's a 70s car. It launched in some quite wild colours. So you probably could get away with a pink, an ultraviolet, or a really bright blue or green. And then I brought Frozen Blue Metallic as well, which looks really nice. That actually gives a Singer sort of vibe. I feel like if I go with this colour, I might have to put a stripe or something on to give it that full Singer vibe. Okay, so we've got white chrome, or... I don't know what that is, a sort of darker chrome, which I think is actually closer to what they were, but I think the really bright chrome actually fits with all the other bright work. I kind of feel like making it a Golf-inspired car, and I think Ford's Competition Orange is the closest we're going to get to that. That might actually be the colour Ford used on Golf liveries. So anyway, I'm going to use that for now. Okay, well it won't let me use manufacturer colours in the livery editor, so I think I'm going to make the wheels match this stripe, because I think the slightly lighter orange is actually more accurate. I have replaced the Porsche logos, replaced the Carrera logos with Porsche logos. Kind of felt like it was better with something there rather than nothing. and I don't think that looks too bad. So I'm going to quickly finish what I'm doing with this and then match the wheels. Okay, there we go. I've matched the wheels to the stripe, duplicated it round on this side, and put the Porsche writing back on the back of the car again. Again, that might have said Carrera before, but overall I'm quite pleased with how this thing looks. Kind of looks as it should, really. It's not overly modified. And yeah, nice, subtle colour scheme, I think works quite well. I may have got slightly distracted in the livery editor adding tiny little, very subtle Golf logos to the front and rear bumpers, but it means I've spent about half an hour customizing this car. So I think it's time we headed to the upgrade shop. So quickly before we upgrade it, I kind of want to use this car for one of the new events around the Grand Valley Highway 1 route. Although, weirdly, there seem to be two that are for 600, which I hadn't really clocked earlier, although... well, the Sunday Cup 600 isn't actually limited to 600, it's just recommended, and it is American cars only. So I think if I try and build it to nearly 600 and enter this, although generally it's much newer cars in these, I think that's the best thing we can do with it. Okay, so as usual, I found it a little bit difficult to balance in the upgrade shop, because you can't add things to basket and buy at the end. You have to purchase them, so I've ended up purchasing a lot of sports parts, which I've then upgraded again. Anyway, we now have sports soft tyres. I don't think any of these are actually equipped anymore, but we've got all of these bits from this page: sports suspension, clutch, brake kit, semi-racing silencer, fully customizable computer, then replaces the sports computer, crankshaft, high RPM turbocharger, racing clutch and flywheel, height adjustable suspension, which then replaces that suspension I just told you it had, semi-racing clutch and flywheel, and then nothing from the racing tab. Basically went for the bigger turbo, rather than starting to stray even further into this tab. So yeah, essentially it's everything from semi-racing and lower. We do, though, need to fiddle around with the settings slightly, because it sits at 600.11, which won't let me into the race if it's over by any amount in here. So we need to have a little fiddle around with here. In here, we do now have, though, 320 horsepower, up from 206, so it's quite a substantial increase in a car that's still quite light. I've not done any weight reduction, because I thought power and grip was more important, because it's already a light car. But let's see if we can just drop this. That's a shame, it drops it by a lot. I'm going to get a power restrictor and see if that's any finer tuned. Right. 98.6 with that. 98.9. Okay, so we were better doing that. The other thing I did actually buy is some ballast, so I could theoretically, instead of doing that, wherever it is... oh, it's here. Ballast. There we go, we can just put in literally 1 kilo of ballast, and then... where do we want it? Ooh, that's interesting, actually, because we could put it slightly towards the front to balance the engine. Does it tell... oh, front rear weight balance. Okay, let's do that and then see if we can... no, it's 1 kilo. It's not gonna... yeah, it's Porsche. It needs some weight on the front end. What happens if you... okay, I'm just doing this for an experiment purpose, because I've not fiddled with this before. How with 200 kilos over the front wheel, is it still the same weight distribution as... anyway. Oh wait, no, hang on. It's not, it's 49.51. Okay, so with my 1 kilo, it's still 40.60. But it may as well be right at the front, right? So, here we go then. 5 laps around the new Grand Valley racetrack. in the Porsche to see how we can do in this, well, Touring Car 600 or GT Car 600 or whatever it's supposed to be, with our weight distribution. I do love that you can do that about Gran Turismo. That is one of the things I love about this game. Like, it's got full-on sim levels of tuning. And full-on sim levels of tuning in a... no, GTR. Full-on sim levels of tuning in a game that has a lot of road cars, not just racing cars, where you can actually modify your cars. It's just an incredible package. Modification, customization, fine-tuning. You can literally do whatever you want with your car in here. Oh, we're so much better in the corners than everyone. Simplify and add lightness, everyone. Wait, no, that's not Porsche. Oh wow, it's so twitchy, but it's brilliant. Oh no, I've done the thing. So yes, it does handle a lot better than all the other cars on the circuit, but to maximise the gains from that, you have to kind of know where you're going, or at least where to brake for the corners, which Gran Turismo does helpfully tell you, but I still seem to have missed a few of them. These, by the way, for anybody wondering, aren't the new AI, these are just the existing AI. I'm not actually sure how you get to race against them. I've caught up to pretty much everybody here. Trouble is, I've caught up to everybody all at once. Sorry, Supra. Oh, get out the way, Z4. What the... That log is a safety hazard. No, it's basically flat out to the line now, I think, although these guys might brake. They will. Isn't really anywhere I can go still, and now that... Ooh, actually... Not great, considering how easy the AI should be on here, but 6th place. I mean, against modern machinery, that's not bad for the little Porsche, actually. But yeah, I'll have to come back and do this one in something more competitive. That, though, is probably going to do it for today's video, taking a very first look at the Porsche Carrera 2.7 RS here on Gran Turismo 7. A really cool little lightweight sports car that's been added as part of update 1.29, along with the 4 other cars, or 3, because the Vision Gran Turismo is kind of only one machine. I will be back very soon to take a look at the Citroen DS and, of course, all of the other cars after that as well. But for now, for a very first look at the Porsche, that is going to be all. It's a really fun little sports car to have in here, and was reasonably fun to drive, but not going to be that competitive. But for now, that is going to be all, so do let me know what you think of the update and of this car in particular, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.